Whew. What do we got here? So move some cows. I'm so old. I remember when, as a kid, we're in bell-bottom corduroy Levi's, bell-bottom pants. And when those went away, they said, "Oh, that'll never be back." And I've actually seen bell-bottoms come back twice. I'm so old that when you had a tattoo, it meant you were either in a branch of the military, you were part of the Mexican mafia, at least out here, or you were in prison. And you could have a combination of the three. You could not, I think until the early 90s, you couldn't wait tables. You wouldn't get a job. No restaurant would employ you waiting tables, handing people their food, if you had an exposed tattoo. Now the manager's got him crawling up his neck and everything like this. By the way, tattoos are forever. That fat will go away, but those are still forever. I'm so old, I remember when you're with your buddies, maybe drinking, hanging out, doing whatever you're doing, and you cuss, say all kinds of stuff. But as soon as you got out of your group, kind of in public, so to speak, you watched your language. You didn't use the profanity. Not because you were a Christian or a Puritan or anything like that, but if you used a lot of profanity, people looked upon you as ignorant. It's like, were you born in a barn? You knew there was a place, a time and a place. You would never film yourself where you can't, every sentence you got to drop the F-bomb or whatever, and then put it up on. We didn't have the internet back then, and then show it off to everybody, because you would be showing off your ignorance. You wouldn't share something like that. I'm that old. I remember when people just didn't do that. The word you said meant something. It represented who you are. I'm so old, I remember when socialists were someone you went to overthrow. You sure as hell didn't vote for them. And they sure as hell didn't have any chance of getting even raising a dime for an election. Socialist was, if you were a socialist, you weren't exposing that and telling people about it. You kept that hidden in the closet. I'm so old, I remember when Chevy made good stuff, and you wouldn't think of buying a Japanese car. That's where Buy American came from. It wasn't China. China was still communist China. We were buying stuff in Japan, and nobody wanted that junk. And I remember communist China. It's still communist China. I remember when we were the biggest manufacturer around. We'd sell stuff to other countries instead of buying junk from them. Yeah, things change. But they typically go back again. Because as human beings, as Westerners, we are very predictable. You could look at the trends if you're old enough. I'm 52. If you're 25, you won't get this, but if you've been around long enough, you can see so many things that... Here's another one. I'll make a prediction. The mullet, Joe Dirt, that funky hairdo, that's from the 80s, okay? That'll make a comeback. I guarantee you. Oh, God, no, whatever. In the 80s, when I went to school, you couldn't have long hair. But everybody had the mullet. You weren't cool if you didn't have the mullet, because that was the status quo at the time. That was pop culture at the time. Oh no, I never would have done it. Yes, you would have. If you didn't have a mullet, you weren't cool. These things all come back. Because we've done everything already 2-3 times. But I don't think we'll ever get our civility back. He's not sure what I'm going to do. Anyhow. You've been around long enough, you can see these things come and go, come back, whatever. But a lot of things now that are big priorities, big popular things, they're short term. That's why you can't commit to a whole lot. That's why I see people with these tattoos, it's like, man, you do not know what you're doing. Because that's going to bite you in the ass later. Don't hang on to anything that's too popular. Because it really lasts. Love you, God bless.